Okay, sweet. I'm here today with Sarah Brown. Sarah, before we jump in, would you like to tell me just a little bit about who you are in the world?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Brown. I am twin. I recently graduated from Franklin College. I'm working on getting my real estate license, and I'm talking with David today for a 1 month check-in.
Yeah, yeah. So, Sarah, you just finished, it was 24 sessions of coaching, but we met sometimes weekly, sometimes I'm not even sure.
Yeah,
It seemed like it was almost a year. Kind
yeah, it was.
yeah. Um, so I'm curious, whenever you started this journey, why did you choose coaching?
Um, well, I feel like I tried the whole, I went to get mental health testing done and then just kind of didn't know what to do after I was told these answers, and I was very close with Lacey, and she experienced very amazing outcomes with you, and I know Lacey's been on her own mental health journey as well. So I think just seeing her get better firsthand, and I don't know, just her change her life around like that. I feel like I just really wanted to, I don't know. I just really wanted when she you did a free
Hmm.
like tester
Yeah,
thing, and and she offered that to me because she knew I would be interested. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh hell yes, yes. I'd definitely be open to that. And then we had such a good first conversation that I didn't really have hesitations in the beginning
yeah,
to jump on the opportunity.
sweet. Well, I'm glad you did. Um,
Mhm, me too.
yeah, so I love, first of all, I love those first session meetings.
Mhm.
I love just meeting new people, and I don't connect with everybody. I mean, honestly, not everybody, I'm not the right coach for everybody. Um, I feel like on my end, I was the right coach for you, but
Mhm.
why did you feel like I was the right coach for you?
I feel like even just in our first session, you told me such simple things that I have never thought of before. Like my emotions are my own responsibility.
Mm, yeah.
I feel like yeah, just from that first thing, I feel like we just very much connected, and yeah, I felt comfortable. Even you being a man too, I felt very comfortable. So I don't know, just had a good feeling about the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
But you're pretty intuitive and you have this sort of kind of gut instinct about you where uh when you listen to that, good things happen. So yeah, and I love this thing that um it's funny, you're like, you have such simple things to say. and but I love, I love that it's some of those simple things that can really change the trajectory of our life. Like who's res-
Mhm.
who's responsible for your feelings? I am.
Mhm.
Who's responsible for other people's feelings?
Yeah.
Other people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big game changer for me. Um,
Yeah, me as well.
so when you started this process, what did you hope to achieve?
I think I beforehand, and even now still it's hard not to be very quick to your emotions, but I wanted to know how to maneuver through that and feel like I'm not stressed out every single day worrying about things that I don't need to worry about. So I think just I wanted to have somebody to tell me when I'm being like too caring for some people or not caring enough for others. And yeah, I think just trying to regulate my emotions was a big one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Being open to improving other aspects of my life too that I didn't think needed improving, but they most definitely did as well.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I can relate to that. Uh,
Mhm.
So could you tell me just a little bit more about, we have these two polar ends, one of just do whatever feels right or feels good, where your
Mhm.
emotions seem to be controlling and dominating us. Can be that's a one popular stance. And then there's a counter movement of which is have no emotions, repress, deny, push down, self-medicate, become so stoic like a stone. Um,
Mhm.
so what does that middle look like for you now?
Mm, I think just being able to like recognize how I feel in my initial reactions to things, and then I feel like I'm way better at like just kind of pausing and realizing like if I if my first initial reaction is like overreacting to something or not. I feel like I'm better at recognizing that. And what was the question again?
Yeah. No, I was thinking those two extremes, and you mentioned that you had been kind of controlled by your emotions before.
Mhm.
So what does it look like now? You obviously still have feelings, because you're
Yes.
human.
Yeah.
So, so what's your process for handling those feelings now?
Yeah. Okay, then perfect. Yeah, like I said, I just feel like I'm better at recognizing my emotions and also slowing them down. I feel like slowing them down was a huge one for me because I feel like I was very quick to like anger or anxiousness or worry. Like those were three main ones that I feel like kind of controlled my life. And I feel like I'm better at like controlling them now
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
just slowing down to think about things first instead of just like jumping to feelings and overreacting.
yeah,
Yeah. I feel like that was a huge one for me.
yeah, yeah. Good. Um, so what fears did you have to overcome to commit to doing this?
Talking about a lot of things I never thought I would talk about, like out loud.
Mm,
And I mean, you are a man. I feel like I got a lot of fears behind just around men in general. I feel like I got a lot of fears with that. So being able to like open up to a man and like tell him some like deep dark things about yourself as well, I feel like that even helped in itself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's been really interesting doing this work, Sarah. And I didn't know any of that when we first started.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy, like, I mean,
Yeah.
and so I wasn't thinking much about it. But as we dug deeper and you started sharing more and uncovering about some of the things that had happened in the past. I was like, oh man, that really takes a lot of bravery on your part to have this kind of intimate exchange with me on the regular, and then also, then to open up and share those things, those hurt places with a man. And I will tell you, just honestly, when I started coaching, I thought I was only going to coach men. I didn't think I was
Mhm.
ever going to coach women. And, how to make God laugh as you tell him your plans. And, uh, I got like one female client and she recommended another one. And then I have all of these females that I've worked with. And I was asking God one day, like, what is all about this? Like,
Mhm.
and, um, that many of these women were like you. They were young, they were attractive, and like, why I'm just an old crusty old man. Like, why is this relationship happening? And um God just mentioned to me that it was an opportunity for me to love them unconditionally and in a non-sexual way, and that just listening to them and not ever being inappropriate and holding good boundaries and all of that stuff, just that would be healing, because I kind of represent some of the me as a man represents some of the hurt that had been inflicted. And so me listening and offering that unconditional love could be really healing
Mhm.
the feminine. Um,
Which definitely was, yes.
yeah, yeah, that's super interesting.
Mhm.
I never could have planned or figured that out on my own.
Mhm.
Sort of happened.
Yeah.
Um, in this process, when did you first realize that you were changing?
Hmm. That's a good question. Um, I feel like it was mainly my living situation. I feel like I was just able, it was the big switch in you telling me like, oh, my like own emotions are my responsibility and other people's are theirs. And I feel like that just like blew my mind in some sort of way. I just feel because it was a very stressful living situation. So I was able to like regulate my own days better and not let others regulate them, or like just kind of take that control back into my life. I feel like that was just so noticeable, and it was a huge change in the way I lived on a daily basis. Like I wasn't living with like worry and like criticizing or analyzing every single person's
Mhm.
like daily moves and emotions, because just like you said, like it just wasn't my, I was doing too much. It wasn't my responsibility. And I think just letting go of a lot of those things, yeah, just helped me a whole lot. I feel like that's when I noticed it the most. It was just a huge change in my living environment.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but a bunch of people can relate to that.
Hmm.
We often, I mean, I know I can do this. I focus on trying to change, fix, and manage other people outside me
Yeah.
instead of really trying to control, fix, and manage me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's my emotional state I'm trying to regulate. I'm trying to deal with my anxiety by trying to fix, trying to control somebody else.
Somebody else's. Yeah.
This is the most bizarre way
Yeah.
I want to go, right? Uh,
Yeah.
instead, I can just focus on what's going on inside me and let them do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. I feel like that was one of the first things I wrote down, is just like their emotions are not my responsibility. And I was just, oh my God, I feel like I told everybody that whole week, just like, wow, did you know this too?
It's like somebody else got an instruction book for life. Who did you tell me? Why?
Yeah. Oh my God. It
Yeah,
just blew me away because it was put into such simple words, but words are just never put together before.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. So, there coaching is one modality. There's also sort of therapy. There's um, and the kind of coaching I do is not even what I call straight coaching. It's not just I'm not just asking you questions the whole time. I'm actually offering some direction. Um, I don't know if you had any experience with any of the other modalities, but wow. So coaching's a new thing. People are like, I had a baseball coach, or what do they do? Are they trying to control my life and how? So, how would you describe this modality of interaction to a friend or somebody out there that's watching that is curious, but like, how does it work? What happens? Like, how would you describe it?
Think one of the huge things for me, and just like the huge difference compared to like therapy and everything, is like you can't give me medical advice or anything, and like you can't tell me like, oh, just take this, it'll make it better, or take this, it'll make it better. Like, no, you give me the actual tools to change the way my brain thinks and like maneuver through those pathways to like not always come to the same outcomes. Like you gave me useful tools that I can use on a daily basis. And I was just talking to my mom. It was last night about how I don't know if we can include this, but like Samuel,
Mhm.
and she was telling how Jennifer came up to her at work, Samuel's mom, and just hugged her and was like very emotional and just like, thank you so much for giving my son this outlet, because he talked himself through a panic attack. and
Hmm.
like was able to self-talk himself and get himself through that,
Yeah.
which was huge for him. And I mean, I know I've experienced the same thing, like with the pendulum exercise and just being able to like you gave us like control, I feel like.
Mhm.
And that's a very powerful thing to feel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like
Well,
that was a huge one.
you gave me goosebumps. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
we were just talking about that last night though. Yeah. So I feel like I've had people in my life say they've noticed a change, and even like with Samuel as well, like just having situations like that where people can notice you like being stronger, or just I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Of course, I know
People,
what you're
people
saying.
notice those things and you don't really notice that they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's so amazing? I mean, I think you mentioned earlier just seeing Lacey change.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I had known Lacey as a student when she went
Yeah.
to college, and I was her advisor. And
Mhm.
I mean, I loved her, but she was a really like kind of a
All
drunk.
over the place type of gal.
Gosh,
Yeah.
so panicky and anxious, and
Yeah.
so much potential, but also
Mhm.
just like in her own way.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all still have issues. It's not like she's woohoo 100% fantastic. No,
Yeah.
neither you,
Yeah.
I.
Yeah.
Where she is now compared to the where she was, the quality of her life has just her life's
Yeah.
rocket shipped into like a totally different dimension. Uh,
Yeah. And I was there to witness that. Like I saw Lacey at like both ends. Like it was drastic.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's you know that's these kind of conversations are great. I can talk to people about coaching and what it is great, but if there's no results, if someone's life isn't changed, if someone isn't different,
Yeah.
then I mean, what are we doing? We're just chatting, right?
Yeah.
And so, um, yeah, that's the power of this work. And it's not a David thing. I mean, I'm a facilitator of an experience, but you have to show up and do the work. And there's some sort of supernatural aspect that comes in when people really want to heal and are willing to do something different. And it's visual, tangible. I know you people, like Samuel have, and
Mhm.
Samuel's mom has seen it in
Yeah.
you. And so
Yeah.
other people have seen it in you and are like, I want some of what she's got. Uh, and I have gone on that journey too. So you are kind of like a walking billboard for this kind of experience.
Yeah.
But I just want to honor you. You were ready for it. And I think a lot of people need it.
I do too. Yeah.
But a lot of people don't, they're not ready. They don't want it.
Agree.
They still think that they can kind of manage it on their own. They still
Yes.
want to try some of the other modalities and see how that goes. I've done it too. Um, I always say that I've spent enough money on therapy to buy a very, very nice sports car. I'm not saying that therapy is wrong or bad. I
Yeah.
learned a lot in those things. But I think there's something special about the way this works. And I don't have medicine as a background, and I can't diagnose you. And I
Mhm.
think that's beautiful. I can't tell you, oh,
I
you've
do
got
too.
you've got this, and this.
Yeah, these are the medications that would cure that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so did you ever think about quitting or giving up in this process?
Mm, I don't think I ever thought about quitting. I think there's a lot of times you did challenge me or piss me off a little bit, but just because it's introducing new, like you're trying to change, like we talked about, like your brain builds these specific pathways that like you think this thing and it always leads to this outcome.
Yeah.
Somebody trying to go in and like change that and like change the direction of where you think, I feel like that's a very challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were a lot of times you pissed me off or like definitely said some things that maybe I wasn't ready to hear, but I came around eventually,
Yeah.
always at some point, but yeah, it
Oh,
is
I'd love to, I didn't maybe sometimes I'm really unaware.
yeah.
I could be one of the most aware people and unaware. Just ask my wife.
Yeah.
She can't believe that I can be as aware about some things and totally clueless about others.
Yeah.
Which is yet again another one of the ironies of me working with women, because that's a whole area where I'm
Yeah.
curious about a lot of stuff. But I would love to hear an example, if you have one in your mind, that you would like to share of something where I challenged you and then
Oh yeah,
the
for
man
sure.
turned you around.
I think just being like talking about relationshipy stuff, like I feel like that was one of the main things. Like I ranked it last on my like
Mm.
values. Like I just very was not open to introducing any aspect of that into my life. And I feel like you challenged that a lot
Yeah.
and it just kind of made me open to the idea. And then I had an experience that did allow me to open up to that side of myself. And I was like, holy shit. Okay. David was a little bit right. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it did teach me a lot of new things. And like you said, like with the whole spiritual growth thing, like I was very like stagnant, like just kind of on my own. I needed something to challenge me in an emotional way. And that experience definitely did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just being open to the idea, that's one thing that it was always hard to talk about for me because I felt like it wasn't needed in my life.
Mm.
But it's not that I did need it. It's just you made me realize that like it's something that can help you grow spiritually. So I was like, all right, let's do the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, um, I I understood why you had the fear and trepidation around relationships,
Yeah.
but I felt
And
underneath,
just anti.
yes,
Yeah.
and almost when I uncovered it, I was like, there's almost this like anti-man sentiment
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I'm a man. I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, I've always said that. Like talking doesn't feel like talking to a man. It's just kind of like a being, like like a non-threatening.
True, I am 100% a man. But I mean, I think some of that, just your relationship with me, becomes a bridge
Yeah.
back to the opposite sex. And I mean, whether you decide to have romantic relationships or not is up to you.
Mhm.
I I just didn't want you to be controlled by fear.
Yeah. Which
That
I
was
most definitely was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the fear and the hurt was controlling you. And so I wanted you to release that. And if
Hmm.
you release that, then you can decide, you know, maybe I'll be in a relationship, maybe I won't. But I didn't want the fear to control you. And that was what
Yeah.
I felt around all of that, to kind of push you into that fear, which no
Yeah.
one likes that. No,
No.
I don't like it.
So that's why it was challenging or even just being open to the idea of it. Like it does piss you off a little bit at first just because like you think everything like I thought I was perfect and happy, which I was like happy alone, but I mean it does introduce a new different kind of happiness that
Yeah. Yeah.
I welcomed into my life. Yeah.
I love the idea of just being free. I'm
Yeah.
free to have whatever experience I want. I'm not going to allow fear to keep me in a small box.
Yeah.
And on the other end, there's a real powerful kind of warrior experience, warrior energy about you. You're a powerful woman, and um, that Joseph Campbell quote, like the cave that you fear the most holds
Mhm.
the treasure that you seek. And so
Yeah.
when I feel that kind of fear, I'm like, oh, that's the stuff she really wants. It's in there. It's in that place.
Right
That's what she really
there.
wants, is in that place.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, how do how do we get there? Um, okay, well, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Course.
Um, so, you know, uh, reflecting back, if you can go back a year ago,
Mhm.
how how has your mental health improved? Can you quantify it? Can you be like, I don't know, it's 70% better, 40% better, or some other way so that people can understand kind of where you were and where you are now?
Yeah. I feel like it's like a huge, like complete flip.
Mm.
Like I was quick to emotion and very quick to anger, I feel like was a lot of the times is what I kind of resorted to, which is very quick anger. And I feel like that was the downfall of my mental health. And just kind of thinking I was kind of always right and just kind of had it figured out. Like I was like, okay, I'm angry. That's my emotion. I'm obviously like that's I'm allowed to feel that valid. But didn't have any tools or like anything to like I didn't have the idea that I didn't have to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like your initial like emotion is not always correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just having the tools to like kind of just slow down and like think about things and then like we talked about like every situation is neutral, like everything is neutral. That kind of was a huge flip as well. Like I don't have to be mad about things. I don't have like oh what did we the horses story
Yeah.
that we talked about? That was a big one too. Like something bad and the chicken shit.
Right.
Something bad can grow the greatest vegetables. And
Right.
yeah, I think just like not thinking everything's the end of the world was a huge mental flip for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just yeah, turning negative things into positive things. I never really had tools to do that before, so I think that was a huge thing for
Yeah.
my mental health. And yeah, I would
That's,
say like an 80% change, honestly. I feel like a lot more calm in my own brain living up there. I feel like it just a lot more calm. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If I could, man, if I could patent a drug where there was an 80% improvement in mental health, I would I would be way wealthier than any man on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really
Agree.
beautiful. But here's the thing,
Mhm.
even if there was such a pill that would do that, it would rob you of your power. And this is the theme I'm hearing all over.
Yeah.
I didn't give you power. I just help you take it back. You had given it away.
Yes. That is, I was just talking, again, I was talking to my mom about this whole experience last night. And one thing I said is like, David doesn't like put the responsibility like on a drug or like just a medication. Like he puts that responsibility to change, like he puts it all on you. So
Mhm.
like you are held accountable for everything you do.
Right.
But like there is a power in that. So
Yes.
it's not like overwhelming. It made me feel like powerful in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can choose how I feel.
That's
I
right.
can choose to regulate and like think about things and pause and yeah.
Yeah. It's a radical responsibility.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
it's a super old idea, and it's also it's very novel today. Everybody wants to blame everybody else for all their problems.
Yeah. For the shitty things. Yeah.
Right. And if only you were different, or the situation was different, or the government was different, or blah 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 was different,
Yeah.
then I would feel okay. Versus,
Yeah.
and when we do that, we give away our power to everything else, and then we're the victim of everybody else's decisions.
Yeah.
And that would be fine if it worked, but it doesn't. It leads to like horrible depression and anxiety and fear
Yeah.
and everything else, because you can't control all those other people. So you're just stuck.
Yeah.
And the stuckness is where all the depression comes from. You get stuck.
Agreed.
You can't change this person, thing, or situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, what about your relationships? How have your relationships changed?
I feel like ones that I kind of like had resentment towards or like a very like that I think would think about and like left a bad taste in my mouth. feel like I had a lot more forgiveness towards those,
Mhm.
and like was able to either start fresh or change my thoughts about those, because we talked about like, I mean, even bad things like that happen to you, like they're sent to your life for a reason, and it's usually to teach you a lesson or to teach you some sort of spiritual growth and everything. So I think I was able to mend a lot of relationships or have a better feeling about them, or and then being open to new ones. I feel like that was very new for me.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like now like this was the most recent one. Just I'm like open to love now in
Mm.
a relationshipy sort of way, which is something
Oh.
Sarah like year and a half ago would literally like vomit saying that out
Right.
loud. So I feel like that was a huge one, just being open to new relationships and new types of relationships. And we've talked about gratitude a lot too, so I feel like I'm more easily able to express my gratitude to my relationships that I do have. And yeah, I think I'm much more appreciative of them too, and what they serve me as and what I can provide for them and everything. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Um, well, I just have to mention, when we first started working together, you had the hoodie on and just you
Yeah.
you were just, I mean,
Yeah, hiding.
yeah, you're this sort of young, beautiful, vivacious woman, but you were hiding all of that
Hmm.
because you didn't want anybody to notice you. Almost, you didn't
Yeah.
want to be distracted. You
Yeah.
didn't want to be inconvenienced by a male gaze in any way.
Yeah, like male attention. Like
Yeah,
I would never wear makeup to school or anything, or yeah,
yeah,
or
and
bad clothing and everything.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not that everybody needs to be made up all the time. That was not what
No.
I'm saying. But it
I,
was
yeah.
symptomatic of where you were at. And
Yeah.
versus looking at you now, I mean, I think you still have a hoodie on, but your hair is done,
Yeah.
and it's a totally different. Um, I've always wished that I could do like a recorded opening interview and
Mhm.
just
Oh
compare
my
it to
gosh, you
where they
should
are
have.
now,
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
so people could see the difference.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think I joined on my phone, like laying sideways with my hood on, like
that's right. Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
That was it too. Yeah,
Yeah. But
exactly.
that's another thing. Like, I know you're a man, but you taught me a lot about my own like feminine power. I feel like
Mhm.
that was another huge thing that I noticed, like a big shift in my life
Yeah,
is like kind of taking control of that
yeah,
and using that to my advantage. And
yeah,
like, it is a very powerful thing.
yeah. Such a bizarre, it's a bizarre idea that here I
It
am in the
is.
world doing this work, but
Yeah.
I've seen
I'm
that.
like,
I mean,
yeah, like a man made me realize that like the beauty and the divine feminine and all that.
yeah, wow. Okay. Um, right. It's as bizarre to me as it is to you.
God, it
Uh,
is.
um, so when you think back,
Mhm.
I mean, you shared some things already, and you can just say it was that, but maybe you can add something else. What was one of the most impactful insights that you gained in this process?
Hmm. Yeah, there's like a few that come to mind, but I think just regulating my emotions and choosing the way I think about things.
Hmm.
Like, not everything is the end of the world, not everything is bad, and like bad things, like just being able to realize that, like, oh, this is happening to me for a reason, like, this is going to be a lesson learned, or it will turn to a good outcome in the end. Like, because everything does happen for a reason. So I think just being able to have different outlooks on things and like being
Hmm.
able to choose that, like
Yeah,
because you can choose that, you can
yeah.
choose whether things feel shitty to you or not. So I think just that. And then I don't my mom and I, we were talking about the pendulum exercise
Hmm.
last night, and like Yeah, I don't know if you did that with Samuel, but I was like, oh, they probably did. I was like, that's probably how he was able to like self-talk and
That's right.
regulate himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, through that like anxiety attack and everything. So I feel like that's a big one too. And yeah, I feel like the relationship thing too. Like that was a huge one for me. Like just even being open to the idea of it
Yeah.
was like otherworldly to me. So
Yeah.
kudos to you for getting me there because
Oh, you went, if you didn't want to go there, we could never have gotten there. I'm not that good. I'm really
yeah.
not. Yeah,
Well, it's
only
scary for me. It's scary.
I know, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying at a soul level. You know, I have this, this belief that we're all one. And at a soul
Yeah.
level, I knew that at a soul level, you wanted that, even though
Mm,
you're scared of it. And so
yeah.
I can never, I can never heal anybody that doesn't want to be healed. And I
Yeah.
can't teach anyone where they don't want to learn.
Yeah.
And I can't make you own your power if you don't want to own it. Right.
Oh, that was another huge one too. Is just the feminine power thing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was like I don't know. I feel like that's something I try to spread as well.
Yeah. Good.
So yeah.
I mean, as a woman, so just I'm not going to get into this big time, but I as a woman, there are certain liabilities as a woman. You're just going to have to deal with creepy guys. Like
Yeah.
it's just part of what you get, right?
Yeah.
But part of also being a woman is you have all of this power of persuasion in the world. And
Mhm.
it's so if you're going to take, you inherently have some of the challenges, just
Yeah.
own some of the benefits too.
Yeah.
Use it
See,
to your
I was
advantage.
living like only in fear instead of like taking some of that and like using it
Yeah.
like as my power and like using it to my advantage and everything.
Yeah.
Like that was like unheard of for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Um, so if you imagine like your future, I think we did some exercise like this early on. If you imagine your future,
Mhm.
say 5 years from now,
Mhm.
based on the change in trajectory you have now, how would that be? I mean, because you were here and then you made
Mhm.
this shift, and but we're still, the time has not transpired. If you
Yeah.
imagine 5 years from now, how different can you describe the difference in your life? You imagine 5 years from now where you might be on this trajectory versus where you might have been if you had stayed where you were.
Mm. 5 years from now, if I were to stay where I was, I would still be alone and single, which nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
But I still feel like I would be so close-minded without this experience, like not even open to the idea,
Mhm.
even 5 years from like where when I started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I wouldn't be open to as many things. And wait, so again, what was the question?
Yeah. So I want you to think about, we did this exercise where you described kind of where you were at, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, now imagine if this doesn't change 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, how's that going to feel? Right.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And so I want to see if you can, in your mind, I know it's hard to imagine where you are now and like 5 years from now, but there's been this shift that you've explained.
Mhm.
What's the difference between those two things when you think about 5 years from now? This new Sarah versus the old Sarah, if you hadn't have made a change, how would they
Yeah.
be different?
I think a big thing is femininity too, because it's something I'm kind of like taken for granted a little bit, or just like not explored at all until this past year. I feel
Mhm.
like it was something that I like. I'm a woman. I never thought that I could like go deeper into that and like kind of explore like the beauty of being a woman and like the beauty and femininity too as well, and just feminine power. I feel like that was a huge one. So I feel like without this experience 5 years from now, I think I would just be a little more rugged, like just not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, just I don't think I would have tapped into that. And so I think that's a huge one now is like we're on like year one of me kind of like even just like half a year, like just being able to kind of explore
Mm.
uh, what feminine power can offer me and femininity and all of that. So 5 years from now, I I want to see what else other doors that can open for me
Mm. Yeah.
and just kind of like really tune into that because I feel like every day now like I make sure I look good, feel good, and I feel like that is the most important part of my day, honestly, is just making sure that you wake up, feel good, think you look good, or know you look good.
Right.
Yes. And yeah, I feel like that is just a huge shift and just being able to explore that
Yeah.
your feminine power. That's just something I feel like I just opened the doors to recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see where that takes me in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, it sounds like it can only help your mental, emotional health. It can only help
Mhm.
your career. It can only help your
Yeah,
relationships. It can only help like
yeah.
just upgrade your whole entire life. And you had quite a bit of anxiety, like it was causing
Oh
some
my God, yeah.
physical challenges for you and definitely relationship challenges.
Yes. That's one thing I used being a woman to like as like a victim card to kind of like live in fear
Uh,
instead of using it to live in like power,
yeah,
like to use that to my advantage. I used it just as like a like oh I'm a woman, like I'm just scared, like I'm like victim, like
yeah.
kind of played that a lot. So
Mm,
yeah, to be able to use that for your power and not live in fear, you know, on a daily basis, I feel like that was a huge thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But your confidence and your energy just thinking about like going into real estate is everything.
Mhm.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. Like sales is all about confidence. And
Yeah.
strangely enough, Lacey's been in sales, which I never would have get. She couldn't get out of bed.
No,
For less
no.
being in sales where she's doing cold calls,
Yeah.
which is crazy high
Yeah.
pressure. And she's in a field dominated by men, and she's learned how to
Yeah.
sort of be able to use her power in that place, and she's really good at it. Which if you
She
would have
is.
told me that was going to happen, I would have been like, no way.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask a weird question.
Mhm.
You've already paid me, so I'm not asking for any more money. But uh, and this could really help me because I'm thinking about like my pricing structure
Yeah.
moving forward. You know, uh, if you think about the change that's happened and the impact on your life
Mhm.
forward, what is this experience worth to you in terms of dollar signs?
Mm, I think I've never had an issue with it, but my mom does pay like a big portion of it, but
Uh-huh.
you were very adamant since the beginning, like you got to put your own into that
Uh-huh.
to this
Yeah.
because I mean, it did teach me a lot of accountability too because I was like, okay, well, I'm also paying a little bit for this, so I gotta show up, I gotta show out,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was worth every penny for me.
Yeah.
And I think my mom would say the same, honestly, even though
Yeah.
she paid the majority, I think she would say the exact same.
Yeah.
She saw the changes in my behavior as well. So,
Yeah.
and she's heard me talk about it. I'm very open to talking about it with her. We were just talking about it yesterday.
Mhm.
And yeah, for me, I think she paid the 400 monthly and I paid her one or you 100
Yeah.
and which for a broke college student,
It's still that's some
that's still a good sum of money.
it probably hurt you more than it hurt her in terms of the percentage of
Yeah,
disposable income. Yeah.
yeah. But it did help. It held me accountable. I bet, yeah, it was worth every penny for me. I think it's very hard to put a price tag on that
Mhm.
because like I would have paid an arm and a leg to get the results that I've seen. So
Yeah. It's hard when people start this journey to imagine the change that's going to happen.
mhm.
Uh, Sometimes they can imagine like getting out of some of the pain, but they don't imagine all the sort of goods that come from that and
Yeah,
the goods that come from those goods, right? Like
yeah,
it has this ripple effect throughout your lifetime.
mhm.
I mean,
1,000%.
I did an interview like this with Lacey whenever we finished up, and
Mhm,
I guarantee you, if I asked her the same questions now, I mean, it's been
mhm.
years past, she would look back on saying, "Oh, that's even more valuable because she has
Yeah,
reaped exponential benefit." It just keeps on echoing throughout a lifetime.
yeah,
And you're so young,
mhm,
you get to reap the benefits of that for
yeah,
another what 60 years or more, which
mhm.
is nuts. So I'm not going to be alive 60 years from now, but yeah, maybe 30 years from now we have a conversation about it and I ask you how much
Yeah,
it's worth to you. That could be fun.
yeah.
So uh anything else that you would love to share today just about your experience or
Mm, I think just being able to talk about it with other people. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like I've spoken to a lot of people where it's kind of like opened their mind a little bit to,
Mhm.
because I am so freely about talking about it. If anybody wants to ask me about it, I'm very open to answering questions and everything. I feel like that kind of inspires like others to kind of like, okay, like it's okay to want to seek some sort of help
Yeah,
or something like that. So yeah.
yeah, it's been a long time. I got sober 25 years ago
Mm,
and I was just terrified to ask for help. My family of origin, you just didn't ask for help. You had to pull
yeah,
yourself up by your bootstraps, right?
yeah.
And I was so ashamed and embarrassed about so many things. The idea of talking to somebody else about it felt
Mm,
like, no way, I can do that.
yeah.
For me, I just had to get to that sort of suicidal bottom where I was like, something's got to change. And I was desperate. I was willing to try anything. But I know that asking for help is like
Hard.
hard. It can
Yeah.
be hard. And um, I just believe human beings are designed to be interdependent. We're designed to connect with
Yeah.
each other.
I agree.
And it's hard. Uh, you know, I think we were designed to be in small communities and people that really
Mhm.
knew us and we really knew, and there was multiple generations, but we don't live like that today. And by the time I've seen this in my own kid, by the time they go through middle school and early high school, they have shut their hearts off and they
Yeah.
do not trust other people because people are mean. They're really,
Yeah.
really cruel and unkind.
Yeah.
And to create a space where people can be honest and share those things without judgment.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's like that really is super valuable. And I've had it for so long, sometimes I forget how lonely that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing that to the surface. I
Mm.
sometimes I just don't. It's been a long time since I've been in that place, but you saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, I was terrified to ask for help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Lacey did the same thing. Like she was open about sharing her experience with
Yeah.
me, so it made me want to be like it inspired me to like want that same experience.
Yeah.
So it's just always being open to talking about it.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that helps others as well. I mean,
Totally.
it's inspired it like me talking about it like inspired my mom to like tell Jennifer about it, and then Samuel gets to
Yeah.
hopefully share his story too as well to others.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that it's just like a domino effect. I
Yeah.
just yeah.
One of the things that's really beautiful is you're part of a new generation of people. And I think in my generation, there was my parents' generation, there was a ton of stigma around therapy. Like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, therapists, you got to be like really crazy, like lock you
Yeah,
up crazy to go see a therapist.
yeah,
And my generation was sort of the start of like, oh, okay, we're open to that. And coaching's a little new on the scene,
Mhm.
although it's been around, not called coaching. It's been called a lot of other things,
Mhm.
mentorship or whatever. And so I think your generation is the therapeutic model where like you're sick and you're broken and I need to try to, me as the therapist, I'm going to try to fix you.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I don't know that it works for everybody.
Mhm.
And so this modality of helping you find the power in your own wisdom, your own strength to do what
Yes.
you need to do.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be really impactful for this next group of 20 somethings and early 30 somethings moving
Mhm.
forward.
I think so too.
Yeah. Well,
My
beautiful.
family's the same way, like, has a little bit of a or they were. They're way everybody's way more open to talking about it now. I don't know where that transpired from,
That's a
but
you.
yes. But, um, yeah, I feel like they were everybody kinda had, like, a stigma about kinda, like, asking for help
Yeah.
or, like, seeking help or anything like that instead of just, like, toughing it out and figuring it out on their own. Sometimes you need somebody to tell you, like, different, like, new ways of thinking about
Right.
things, so, yeah.
I think about like, professional athletes,
Mhm.
Tom Brady's retired, but when he was still playing, he was the best quarterback probably that's ever lived. And up until the end, he had a quarterback coach.
Yeah.
Like, and clearly that guy is not better than at quarterbacking than he is.
Yeah.
He just allows him to see things that he can't see on his own. And Tom Brady was committed to being the best he could be. And so coaching is one of those things which is designed to help people show up the best version of themselves.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah. And so it isn't like you're screwed up and I'm trying to fix you. It's like I just want to be the best version of myself
Yeah.
and I need someone else's external
Mhm.
insight to help me see the things I can't see.
And you always made us very aware that, like, we did have the power. We do have the power to, like, do this on our own, but it's just about, like, tuning into that
Mm,
and using that to your advantage.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I do this all day long for tons of people, but I still have a coach that I meet with. I have a couple
Yeah.
of them that I meet with regularly because
Yeah.
I can't see my own stuff because I'm too
Yeah.
busy being me. And
Mhm.
and I want to show up as the best version of myself. That old crappy version, no one in my family likes it whenever he shows up.
Mhm.
We don't want
Same.
that. We don't want that, David.
Yeah.
Give us the good one back. Well, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. It's good to see your
Same.
smiling, happy face. And thank you so much for your courage to openly, honestly share today. And, and also all the times where you've just shared with people one on one. It's not about me per se, but I think that this idea of helping as many people as possible before we die. That's part of my mission, and
Yeah.
so thank you for participating in that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been beautiful.
I'm glad you gave me the tools to spread that too.
Yeah, of course, of course.